So it's time for the Big Debate's Little Debate on the Asian Network, where you send a discussion idea that matters to you. Ramela Wells got in touch with the idea about today's girls who can't stand having anything to do with their in-laws. They want to spend all the time with their own families instead of treating both families equally. So are daughter-in-laws guilty of not being able to treat both sides of the family equally? Are they being judged unfairly? And why is the onus always on women? What about men as well? Can't they spend more time with their in-laws? I want to know your thoughts on this. 81869 or ring 03459 440 445. If you're currently with your in-laws, you can remain anonymous. That's fine. Let's speak to Sophia, not her real name, who does live with her family separately, and also Adeem Younis, who's founder of SingleMuslim.com. Welcome to the pair of you. Hope you're both well. Sophia, tell me your story then. Is there an assumption that today girls are just getting are distant from their in-laws?
I think that can be disputed, simply because it depends on what kind of relationship you have with them. So that's going to be predominantly set by that. But I think, being in my mid-30s myself, I think we still have that obligation to have some respect for our in-laws, and being raised in that way, you still have an obligation to keep a relationship with them and make an effort.
How can you do that?
I think, what do you mean, how can I do that? How do we do that?
Like keep an effort, keep everything balanced, keep everything going on both sides?
I think it is a real juggling act, as in, my mum's generation didn't have the same pressures that we did in terms of, having all the onus with the children and all the homework and the extracurricular. They didn't have all of that consumption, whereas we do. So it's more challenging for our generation, I think, because we've got a lot more to fulfill in that way. But it is the simple things like phone calls and, weekend checks, going to theirs or them coming to yours, and it is difficult. I'm not going to lie. It's super difficult.
What are some of those challenges?
I think, some of them could be just them coming around for dinner, isn't it? That's a challenge in itself.
No, but tell me, you've said there, Sophia, that, there's a few more challenges than for previous generations. On a day-to-day or a week-to-week, what are all those challenges going to be?
They had it somewhat harder because they obviously would have lived with their in-laws more so. But my generation who don't live with their in-laws have it so much more easier because you're not in their face. You don't have to cook and clean for them on a daily aspect. But those that still live with their in-laws, and I'm talking for my generation, still have their struggles because they've got traditional and cultural views imposed on them, which they may not feel like is applicable in this day and age. Mm-hmm. So they've got to obviously oblige by that, living under their roof. And I think that makes it difficult because I did initially, when I was with my in-laws, had to stay with them at the very beginning, and it is difficult.
Do you agree? Get in touch, 81869. Is it hard if you live with your in-laws to abide by all their rules or to forge your own path? Let me know your thoughts on that. Let's speak to Adeem about this as well now. Adeem, what do you make of what Sophia's been saying?
Hey, Kaz, how are you doing? Yeah, no, I agree. And I think with the service that I set up 20 years ago, Single Muslim, the experience that I'm talking about are from the members on the website and the evolving nature of the individuals as they were back then and now. And I think, a lot more people are wanting to live independently and have autonomous lives. So there's nothing wrong with kind of living with the in-laws, either side. And I know majority of Asians, it's the females that move into the male family. But I think there's no issues there whatsoever. And, the recent kind of sensational story that we heard about the royals, Harry and Meghan kind of moving to Canada. I wrote a piece in The Independent last week, and they kind of named me as the royal matchmaker because part of the service that we offer with Single Muslim is a VIP service. It's even problem that people think that maybe it's an issue with people from northern towns for Asians in northern towns, but it's not. It's a problem that's universal.
Should women be judged if they feel closer with their parents more than with their in-laws? Let me know both of your thoughts on that. Adeem, I'll start with you.
They would.
women, no, of course not. But sadly, within our community, women are judged. But I think, there's a lot of need there, especially when the family starts growing. Sophia mentioned with childcare, just a thing with homework, or when you have a child, the early first years, the kind of the fully dependent time, and if the wife is with her mother, that's required, because it's a nurturing type of process, and as a mother, it's your mother that knows what you're going through more so than maybe your father's side, or your somebody else's mother. You want to be close,
Well, let's go to to Sophia about this. Do you agree with Adeem's theory, or what are your thoughts?
I don't think. I agree to some respect in terms of, yes, if you're having your own children, you want to be naturally closer to your own mother, but I don't think that's always the case, because if you still live with your in-laws, or you've been married into another family, the expectation is you are now going to be with them, and they'd be providing the childcare, and they'd be your first point of call as such. So you are compelled again to be with them more so, and seek their ways of doing things as well. It's sometimes like frowned upon. Well, I would do this, or my mum did this. Well, no, this is how we do it, actually. And I think that does take a play when things are done differently.
Well, don't you think, Sophia, that more people are moving out and living independently of both sides of in-laws as well? That's what I'm seeing more trend on Single Muslim.
Most
away.
Young couples do want to move away, but I think, again, that's a luxury, because there are a lot of Asian professionals out there, and coming from London, because I live in London, the cost of living is so great. It's a luxury if you just got married and were able to buy your own home. It naturally occurs whereby they end up staying with the in-laws for a span of anything between 1 to 10 years, because it's so hard to save enough to buy a property here that you will end up staying with your in-laws unless you're very, very fortunate.
But that's universal, though, isn't it? I think the affordability is not just an Asian issue. It is actually an issue across the board.
No, I agree. It's not the affordability, but the point is how you still end up being more closer to the in-laws in that respect, because you're forced to be with them, having married their son, and you will end up being in their house, and have to follow quite a lot of their culture and tradition. You have to, being in their house.
I mean, in terms of, you feel that women are distancing themselves, though? I mean, are women trying to move away, or kind of like, having that independence, there's nothing wrong with that, wanting to have their own nest and wanting to have their own space, and that's
absolutely. I think it's a nice thing to have your own space where you can be your own person and develop your family the way you want to, taking aspects from his upbringing and your upbringing, and taking the positives from both of them and using them to your advantage. But I think, again, it's not always possible because of the cost and affordability. And I don't think it's just universal, but I think us Asians are more compelled to follow traditions and cultures more than any others. And I think that, sadly, this circumstance is giving rise to a lot of divorces. It is, whether we like it or not. A lot of the daughter-in-laws are struggling, and then the son might be stuck in the middle or just ignorant to what's going on. And this is happened to a lot of my friends and a lot of people I know. It has given rise to relationships breaking down, divorces, because it's a major thing.
I totally agree with you, and I think the ironic thing for someone like myself who runs Single Muslim is that within the Islamic faith, living in your own space is actually something that is, is something that the faith teaches us to do, and it's actually a must. So within kind of the Asian culture that we follow, because of a lot of the Muslims in the UK are from the Asian subcontinent, we kind of follow that Asian culture blindly rather than following the faith, which says that as a kind of nucleus family, you have to have your own space. And
here's a question for the pair of you. Here's a question. Sophia, you've just been talking there about the fact that you need your own space, and that might be something that's disrespected. If a man in a relationship actually is saying, Mum or Abbuji, I'm moving out, I want my own space, I want to make my own life, whatever it is, I need my own space. Would men saying that be more respected than a woman?
It depends on how traditional the parents are, but generally, as a, vast consensus, yes, when the guy says anything, it's seen as, well, he can handle himself and, they're big, strong and whatever. But if it's a female, they'll be always a bit more concerned, as in like, no, are you sure you're making the right decision? I still think they struggle with the women being the more assertive sort of partner. But I think it's changing a bit more because obviously some of the parents are starting to see that, no, we have to give them space. So it depends on the mindset of these in-laws, I think.
And what would be... I'll come to Adeem first on this, actually. But like, if a man said, "Do you know what, I'm going to move in with my wife and my in-laws," would that be seen as peculiar, or would he be a bit of a sellout compared to the other way around?
Is that a question to me, Gasa?
It is, yes.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. It generally does. It generally would come across like that. And even I think in my friends and within my family, it'd be like, well, eyebrows would be raised. Like, what on earth has he just said that? Is he going to do that? But you know what? Honestly, from the experience that I've had on the website, more and more people are doing that, and it goes back to Sophia's point as well because of affordability. There's a lot of women that are in their early 40s, mid 40s that are financially independent and doing better.
The men could be accused as being a scrub in that situation, or a bit of a freeloader.
Yeah.
Sophia, you can't.
It's not a good look.
No, you can't have it both ways as a man in this situation.
Yeah, it's not a good look in that way because I have to admit I've seen one or two recently married couples, and the man has moved in with the girl, the wife's side of the family, and it's an awkward sort of.
So why does that have to be the case that way? Do you know what I'm saying?
It's that tradition, like you're supposed to take her and look after her, and yet you're coming to her.
Yeah. That's some. If there is anybody out there in that situation, I want to know what's it like. What's that dynamic like? Let me know. 03459 440 445. I want to read a couple of messages out right now. It's not an assumption. It's massively on the increase. I had to move out due to my missus making a fuss, despite knowing I wanted to stay at home. But looking back, I wish I hadn't, as I miss having a busy house. Thank you very much for that WhatsApp message. A couple more. Hello, I am a 65-year-old mother. I don't want my son and his wife to live with me because I also want my life. I don't want to look after his children and cook and clean for them. I want them out. Go and manage your life. I need to enjoy mine. Fair play to you, Narinda. Have you had that conversation with your son and his wife, though? What's that been like? Get in touch again. Let me know. That's a good message there from Narinda. And also another message saying it's difficult as in-laws don't want to interact and accommodate views and lifestyles. In-laws don't judge their own daughters, which is hypocritical. In-laws had it easier as they came here, left their own in-laws behind. Thank you for that message there. I wonder if there's a kernel of truth with that final message. Right, Sophia, you are a daughter-in-law, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to know this. What do you call your daughter, your mother-in-law and father-in-law? Is it mum and dad? Is it their name? What is it?
No, we're quite flexible. It's auntie and uncle.
Auntie and uncle?
Yeah. Don't call them mum, don't call them dad, just never have.
Yeah,
and
I get that.
At the beginning, I didn't naturally gel to it. But then my other sister-in-law doesn't either. We both call them auntie and uncle.
Do you say first name auntie or just auntie?
Just auntie. And it's never been questioned, never been anything. I think they quite like it. So,
yeah.
I know, it's bizarre, but no, it's not like it's not cultural.
No, I get that. It's just, I wouldn't, you don't, mum and dad or amma, whatever it is, that's not right. I don't feel that's the case. But then you can't exactly, do the white thing of going, oh, Rani, come here. You wouldn't do that either, would you?
No. So it works, but yet we still do all the other things like keep a mutual relationship. We always make an effort and do things out of respect, but that's what we call them, and
fair enough.
anything wrong with it, yeah?
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you, Sophia. Adeem, anything? What would you know? Running out of time, Adeem. So, but what would you call in-laws, mother-in-laws, father-in-laws?
Yes, it's weird, isn't it? We've got that universal auntie and uncle. Anybody that you see on the street is an auntie. And, like me, I'm kind of late 30s now, so I'm an uncle myself. And it's like, what? When did that happen? But, it's interesting that you want the first WhatsApp message that you got that I wanted, my wife to move in with my family. It's not fair.
It's always about the big family, isn't it? Adeem, Sophia, thank you both. We're out of time, but it's been really good talking to the pair of you.